If you feel you're repeating patterns in your love life, if you feel you're constantly attracting partners where you don't feel chosen, you don't feel prioritized, or this happens in your current relationship, then this is the video for you. We are really going to make a deep dive into why this is happening and how you can change that. But first things first, my name is Lydia Wilmsen. I'm a mindset and high performance coach, and here on the channel, we basically merge the two worlds of high performance, of high achievement, and conscious creation and manifestation. So it really goes way beyond the typical business and life advice, and we really go into the quantum realm, into the woo-woo realm, but it's actually deeply, deeply logical, and it's deeply, deeply scientific. If you're new here, please subscribe, share, like the video, and if you want to get coached, go to the description, check out the link there. You'll find all the options. The most amazing, of course, is the Mind Mastery community. It comes with group coaching calls every Tuesday, so tomorrow. And it's super affordable, and there is an amazing high vibe group of other people in there who are on their manifestation journey, basically. So join us there. And now when we talk about the topic of love and relationships and the same patterns, I actually have a lot of high achievers, and we start working on the business side or the business angle first. This is what they come to me with, and then we end up really going into like a deep dive of their personal relationships. It's so interesting because it's deeply connected as well. So if you're a high achiever, if you're a very driven person, you're often a person who is carrying all the weight on your shoulders. You're the person who does all the things. You're the leader in your family, in the relationship, in your business with other people. You are very driven. You have a driven personality, but you have somehow still your self-worth tied to achievement. And then you see this mirrored back to you also in your relationships, because then at some point I end up working with my clients on their personal relationships. And they often have the weight on their shoulders also in their relationships. And they deeply long to also feel like deeply chosen and adored and admired. And they don't get this anymore. Perhaps they got it in the beginning, but it really shifted into them doing all the work, them doing all the pursuing, them doing all the inner work, the emotional work, and they don't get it mirrored back to them in the outside world. And this is what we then tackle, because it's often, like even in business, they often then have misaligned clients, or things are not flowing as nicely as they wish. And the same happens in their personal relationships. And it's usually a very deep imprint that comes from childhood. So you can check in with yourself. Did you really feel deeply prioritized, deeply loved and appreciated? Did you really feel good enough as a child? And often if you dig a little bit deeper, you feel like, oh my God, I don't know, I was the middle child. I was always balancing everything. No one was really there for me. Other people were prioritized. I was not the priority for my parents or for my caregivers. Or perhaps I even had to take on the role of the caregiver. So it was basically, I was doing the work. I was taking care of my siblings, or I was taking care of my parents. I have this with my clients because they have parents who were alcoholics, who were having mental health issues, and the kids had to take on the work for them. So there is a deep cellular imprint, often connected with trauma, of I'm not chosen, I'm not prioritized, I'm not loved, I'm not appreciated for who I am. I have to work hard, I have to prove my worth, I have to show my worth. So this is their deepest imprint, so to say. And then you keep living from this deep imprint. It was created in your childhood, usually through some like really deep old wounds, some deep old trauma. And you keep living from that. It's basically that unprocessed trauma becomes the baseline from where you now act from, where you decide from, where you respond from, and where you attract from. So the old unprocessed trauma is basically your baseline. It is, even though it's the past, it hasn't been processed in you, so you still create from that baseline. Everything you do now comes from, I'm not chosen, I was never worthy, I was not loved. And you cannot attract a deeply healthy and stable relationship or create a deeply healthy and stable relationship where all of a sudden you are deeply adored, chosen, admired. Now, if you're still running on the old blueprint. And you have to understand, this is what I do with EMDR with my clients. And there I have a whole video on that. And I'm also going to link it in the comments and in the description. EMDR, basically, it's eye movement desensitization. Desensitization, I'm always like, did I pronounce it correctly? But you get the point. Reprocessing, it's a modality that was invented in the 80s. And I have a whole video where I actually also explain it and show it to you. And I go very much in depth in the conscious and the mind mastery community. I have a whole course on that. This is basically one of the most powerful modalities. And I would actually say the one modality that helped me shift everything, and the same for my clients, where we process this old trauma. So at the moment, if it's still running your blueprint, it is still what's being active. It's still what's being active in your emotional brain, and it informs everything you do. So if you have an old blueprint of I was never prioritized, then you are basically still running a blueprint of I'm never prioritized, and I'm not loved and appreciated. I'm not good enough. I'm always rejected. I'm always abandoned. Also a big one. Like a lot of my clients were abandoned actually as children. So there is something, and it's not necessarily that the people had to leave you. It can also be emotional abandonment, or a feeling of emotional abandonment where you as a child didn't understand what was going on, right? So they live from that wound of I'm rejected. I'm rejected, even though they were rejected 30, 40 years ago. Like I'm making this 30, 40 years ago, they still live from that place now because it's still active in their emotional brain. And through EMDR, through the bilateral stimulation with our eyes, we process that in the brain and it's moved to the neocortex. So it goes away, it's moved out of the amygdala where it's like making like constant issue, so to say. It's moved from the emotional brain to a different part in your brain. And then it's processed and it's just a memory and it doesn't trigger anything anymore. And you go from the blueprint of I'm rejected, I'm not wanted, I'm not chosen to that was the past. That was an experience in the past. And now I live in the place of I'm deeply wanted, even though I don't have an experience of that yet. But the memory, the fragmented memory, like what happens with trauma is that the memories get fragmented with all the body sensations, with images, with emotions, with sensations. And the actual memory, like it's all fragmented and it's merged together and it's stuck. And then you are stuck there and you keep living from that place. And through EMDR, it all gets processed and sorted and basically put together and moved away, stored away. So it's just a faint memory and that's it. And then you can actually start living from a new blueprint that we can also anchor in with EMDR. It's really, really powerful. Then you still have the memory, but you don't live from that place anymore. You feel different. You don't feel sad, rejected, abandoned, unwanted, unchosen anymore. Like all those feelings that you can have in your body, or like even I'm always the one who does all the work and it's never reciprocated. Like never do I get anything back. I'm doing all the work. All of that will just lift. You might still observe a situation where that is still the case, but you won't have an emotional trigger with that. You will just observe it and then move on. It's like like I can go outside and then I see some trees and then I see someone in the ocean and I just observe it and I see it and it doesn't trigger anything in me. Versus right now, you're seeing a couple out there who are deeply loving and committed together and you go into like, oh my God, I'm always rejected. I wish I had that. And you feel a deep longing in your heart and you feel a deep ache in your heart. Or you come back home to your partner. Your partner just says hello quickly, doesn't really give you a big hug and a kiss. It's just like directly in his place and like does something on the computer and you feel this sting of rejection of like, I wish he would just come and give me a big hug and a deep kiss and I would feel the desire from him, from you or something, like, and you have this, you feel undesired, you feel unchosen, you feel like this rejection, like it's such a visceral feeling. And this will be gone. Even if your partner goes into a different room and does whatever, you will not have that sensation anymore. You will be like, whatever. And then we can then program you for them shifting. We can shift the version that shows up in your relationship, the version of your partner. We can change that. It starts first with letting go of the wound, with processing the wound. And this is what EMDR does. It's so powerful. So I really urge you to watch that video. And if you directly know, hey, I want to work on this, I really want to change my relationship blueprint, I'm ready for a different kind of love, whether you're in a relationship right now or not, it doesn't matter. You can directly either book a one-to-one with me, or you join the Mind Mastery course and do the EMDR course in there, not the course, the community, and we work on that together. Because this is one of the things that always works with my clients. It's crazy. They come to me with business stuff, and what blows up the first in amazing ways is usually their relationships. They have massive changes in their relationships, sometimes at the brink of divorce, or almost like I had clients who were almost losing their children to suicide. And the children, because it's not just the partners, anyone can change in your relationships, in your personal relationships. They have the deepest, most committed connection with their children. It's beautiful. So relationships are actually kind of easy to change. And it all starts with you. It starts with reprocessing the old trauma and then imprinting something new, a new blueprint that you live from, and then it can actually happen all quite fast. If you have any questions, put them in the comments. Please like, subscribe, share. This really helps the channel to grow and bring this message to more and more people. And yeah, if you have questions, also put it into the comments, and I will make a video on your question as well. So thank you so much for watching, and until the next video.